What's going on, people of YouTube? Now, back in the summer when it was about 70 degrees warmer than it is right now, we reviewed an absolutely wild green RS5 coupe. And while that car was amazing, we still found ourselves looking forward to the upcoming Sportback, since as those of you familiar with the channel know, we have a particular soft spot for this body style. Well, now it has finally arrived, and it's finished in the same Sonoma Green to boot. And of course, we do want to give a special thanks to our friends at Audi of Lexington for letting us spend the day with this awesome beast. And if you're in the market for any new Audi, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with the 0 to 60 time faster than some versions of the R8, let's see if this is one of the few cars that can deliver performance without compromise. So getting started with the exterior styling, this is a really cool looking car, even when you ignore the green paint job. It definitely ups the aggression of the S5 by quite a bit, and it adds enough extra elements that you should have no trouble telling them apart. Obviously, the most distinct part of the changes are the signature RS silver grille and lower bumper trim. But as you might remember from the coupe review, this can all be blacked out, or as a new option this year, finished in carbon fiber. Now, the full LED headlights themselves are unchanged from its tamer siblings, except you do have a tiny air inlet along the side. And below them you've got several more functional vents around the driver assistance sensors. But of course, what really makes this special is that it's a high performance sportback, a category that the other German brands have thus far ignored. When compared to the coupe lengthwise, this is only about 2 inches longer. But my personal favorite part has got to be the rear, with its widened rear fenders and especially the gigantic oval exhaust pipes. The really neat thing about them is that you can actually see the baffle open and close depending on which drive mode you're in. And otherwise, you do have a black lip spoiler and the typical LED taillights with dynamic turn signals. But overall, I think the sheer number of people that stop by to check it out says all you need to know about how nice and eye-catching this looks. Now, matching nicely with the design are these wheels, which are the standard 19-inch ones. They look good with this car's silver trim, but naturally there are some more extravagant 20-inch options available, including the really neat milled out alloys that we had last year. Wrapped around the wheels are two 75/30 summer performance tires. And for stopping power, you have either the standard 14.8 6-piston ventilated disc brakes, or you can spring for even larger 15.7-inch carbon ceramic brakes that come in the Dynamic Plus package. As far as some non-performance related details, you do have heated, power folding, and auto-dimming mirrors. And those are either capped with this standard aluminum, metallic black, or carbon fiber. Blind spot monitoring is standard equipment, along with forward emergency braking, and then choosing the driver's assistance package will add in adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlights. And finally, to end things, we have a 15.3 gallon fuel tank here, which is good for 306 miles of range on premium fuel. But anyways, that's it for the eye-catching exterior. So now let's see what performance upgrades are on the inside. So of course you do have standard smart entry, and you've got this real beautiful key fob with a nice piano black trim, special RS badging, and real metal. And then to get inside the vehicle itself, all you gotta do is grab the door handle. So checking out the interior of the 2019 RS5 Sportback. As you can see, it's got a real nice look, definitely not as crazy as the green exterior. As far as the actual colors you have to choose from, if you go for the base model, which this one is, without the Napa leather package, this is actually your only option. It's a black leather seat with the Alcantara inserts with the diamond stitching. Now if you do go for the fine Napa seating, all of this becomes Napa leather. You get a honeycomb pattern, and then you got 3 different choices. You've got black with gray stitching, black with red stitching, or a lunar silver option. Interestingly, you're not going to find any type of red option though. Turning over here to your door trim, it is nicely appointed. You have a nice leather material right through here, as well as more Alcantara. And then all models do come standard with real carbon fiber trim and these cool door handles that have the little cutout to save weight. Then of course you do have standard 2-person memory seating and 4 fully automatic windows. Now turning over here to the seat, it is the same 12-way power seat that you'll find on the S5 models. You do have all the options including massaging, 4-way lumbar support, adjustable bolsters, as well as a manual thigh extension. And then, like I've already mentioned, you do have this quilted Alcantara material, really nice contrast stitching, very nice aggressive bolstering, and then you've got this kind of embroidered RS badging. So of course, since this is part of the A5 family, the main interior aspects are the same. However, you do have upgraded materials. So across the upper dash, you continue to have a soft touch plastic. And then dropping down here to the middle, like I was saying, you do have a standard real carbon fiber trim, and that runs throughout the cabin. That does carry down here. You will notice some of the leather textures have been switched out for a nicer perforated leather. And then you do have standard leatherette trim down here. However, if you get that fine Napa leather seating package, this is turned to Napa leather. But anyways, let's go ahead and start this up so I can warm up. You have standard push button start. And one of the changes, I say changes loosely because of course 2019 is the first year of the Sportback. However, there was a 2018 version of the coupe. But anyways, you do have the standard 8-inch MMI navigation system versus a standard 7-inch one in 2018. Definitely has a nice sound on startup. So like I was saying, since your 8-inch navigation display is now standard, virtual cockpit is also now standard equipment. For RS5 duty, it does have a slightly different look. As you can see, you've got the gray and red gauges. But as far as the rest of it, it does work the same. So you've got your standard fare of information, and you can still press the view button to expand that information really large, which is especially cool for your Google Earth maps. Now coming back to the steering wheel itself, we don't have it, but you do have an available dynamic steering system, which is basically speed variable. However, regardless of whether you have that system or not, you get this unique and really nice, basically perforated leather steering wheel with your double stitching, special RS badging, and then you got piano black accents. So very nice looking. As far as the buttons themselves, they're laid out the same as on other Audis. So you've got your virtual cockpit stuff over here. And then you got your other stuff like your phone, voice, and audio controls. Now back behind the shifter you will find paddle shifters, and they are is finished in the special piano black for the RS duty. And then off to the side we have adaptive cruise control, and your steering wheel is manually adjusting. You actually cannot get heating on the RS5 for some reason, but for 2019 it will be available on the coupe as a standalone option. But anyways, going into storage, one of the really nice things about having an RS5 Sportback is that you've got all the storage of a traditional regular car, but with the performance, of course, of a sports car. So coming over here, you've got the same center area as the S5 and A5. So you've got a decent amount of storage here. You'll also find a wireless charger, as well as one USB port and an aux jack. And of course, like all the Audis, this does adjust forward as well as, lock into various different positions. Up in front of that, you got your 2 cup holders, and you've got another nicely sized area with a USB port and a 12-volt outlet. Now coming back to the shifter, this of course is the same shifter that you see in the majority of Audis at this point. Very simple electronic one. You just pull back to drive, and then you can bump over here to the right to shift manually, or you of course can use those paddle shifters that I was showing you earlier. For reverse, you just push all the way up, and when you do, you will always find a standard backup camera, though we've got the 360-degree camera system here on this model, since we've got the driver's assistance package. As you can see, this is a really excellent 360 camera. You've got a lot of different views you can select from, and the resolution is excellent. And then for park, all you gotta do is press the P. And then you do have an electronic parking brake, though we don't have any brake hold feature. But anyways, that brings us over here to the audio system. Since this is a more basic level RS5, we have the base 10 speaker audio system instead of the optional Bang & Olufsen sound system. I have to say, that sounds surprisingly good for only 10 speakers. But anyways, moving on from that, over here you just got your standard MMI controllers that you've seen on other products. And then up above that you got a row of buttons. The first ones we'll look at is your drive mode select. So when we get off of that camera system, you press that button. As you can see, you can cycle through your same 4 different modes as you can on other Audis. But when you go into the individual mode, you'll find that there's a lot more settings for this car. Obviously, so you've got different things for your sport differential, as well as your engine sound, which is something I really like that you can customize. So you could maybe want to be riding more comfortable in a certain situation, but still have all the great sound. And I really like that you can just tailor this to whatever you want. Other than that, you've got your standard fare of things, but you will notice that you've got the auto parking, which has been rolling out to Audis this year. And moving up here to your climate controls, this is the same again as the A5 family. This is one of my favorite climate control setups because you can click on these things and kind of preview the settings. And then of course these metal buttons are really, really nice. One thing I will point out, you've got your standard 3-stage heated seats, but on the RS5 you're not going to be able to get ventilated seats. But anyways, now we're up here at the Audi MMI system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. So this of course is the same Audi MMI system that you've seen in a lot of different Audi products. You just got the wheel and you can turn through this menu to select what you want. Heading into the telephone, you've got your ability to handwrite names, and you can just go into your directory as well to find phone numbers and select people from here. Now right here on the dash you've got a toggle so you can quickly jump straight into the MMI navigation, which as I mentioned earlier is now standard. Of course you've got Google Earth Maps, which are awesome, and you do have the ability to handwrite in destinations or use voice commands. Last thing I'll touch on is your Audi smartphone interface. That is where Android Auto or Apple CarPlay would show up when you plug in a compatible phone to the USB port. But anyways, that's the basic gist of the MMI system. But of course, as you all know, we've got a detailed tech help video available if you want to learn more. So a link to that video is in the video description. And moving on up, you will find a standard auto dimming mirror with a built-in compass. And then like the rest of the A5 family, you actually have got a standard panoramic moonroof, which is a really nice touch. And it does come with a windscreen as well. But overall, this car's cabin is extremely impressive. I mean, this car is just a very everyday livable vehicle. You know, you're looking at something that has performance that could keep up with an Audi R8. Yet this is a cabin that's got all the technology, luxury, and space that you could definitely use this every single day. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin. So heading to the rear of the RS5 Sportback, this is obviously the reason why you buy this over the coupe. It's technically rated at 35.1 inches of rear legroom and 37 inches of rear headroom. So this is actually bigger than the Audi A4 sedan for reference, so this is definitely very usable if you have a family. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is finished super nicely. So we do have a leatherette armrest here, and it can be upgraded to the Napa leather if you opt for that package. And you do also have Alcantara above that, as well as standard carbon fiber trim. Now additionally in the RS5 model, you do have this little hole on the aluminum door handle, and of course your window is fully automatic. Now the seat itself is a beautiful design, so you do have leather on the outside edge, as well as an Alcantara here in the center, and it is also diamond quilted here in the back. Now this is an Audi after all, so there is plenty of features here in the rear. So we do have standard rear air vents on all models, and down below that you will also find your own climate controls since it is 3-zone automatic. Now down below that, just like any 2019 Audi, you do have 2 charging USB ports, as well as a 12-volt outlet beside that. Now folding down the center armrest, it is just like any other Audi, so you do have a little storage area right here, as well as a leather padding above that, and 2 pop-out cup holders. Now up top we do have LED lighting, as well as a really nice headliner. Now with the seat adjusted to Drew's 5'8" driving position, I do have tons of space. So I have about 6 inches of rear leg room, and my feet can't easily slide up under the seat. Now sliding over, with the seat scooted all the way back, I still have probably 2 to 3 inches of rear leg room, and my feet are easily able to slide up under the seat. So this is a very spacious rear seat. Overall, I am extremely impressed by the RS5 Sportback's rear seat. It's really amazing that you can fit this much space and comfort into something with this much performance. Now since this car is very usable on top of being super high performance, the seats do fold 40-20-40 split. So just grab this little handle and the seat will fold right down. Now heading around to the hatch, this is obviously the areas where the Sportback is really unique. So even though it looks like a sedan, the hatch will actually open all the way up, which we'll see in just a second. Now it is also hands-free power across all Sportback models, so just wave your foot under the bumper to open. So like I said, even though this does look like a sedan,
You have tons of room here in the back, and it's actually rated at 20.8 cubic feet with the rear seats in place. And as you can see, if you fold it, it's more like an SUV than a sedan. So this is a really awesome amount of space back here. Now Audi also finishes the trunk really nicely back here. So you do have a cargo cover so no one can see in. And in addition to that, you do have LED lighting on both sides, as well as a little cubby. And down below the floor, you do have a spare tire. And to close it, just push the button. Now we will cover the pricing here in just a second. Coming over to the passenger seat, it is the same beautiful design. You even have RS embossing. And down below that, you do have the same power adjustment as the driver's. And it does look like you even have massaging over here. Now in front of the passenger, just like any Audi, it is finished really nicely. So you do have a padded dashboard with a nice stitching, as well as carbon fiber trim and Quattro branding. And down below that, you do have a nice sized glove box, and it is felt lined, and it does have a CD DVD player in there. Up top, we do have a sun visor with a mirror and LED lighting. But anyway, guys, I just covered why you get the RS5 Sportback over the coupe model. But now let's go ahead and talk about why you get the RS5 in the first place.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about the most important part of this car, which is definitely the powertrain and performance.
Of course.
So this car actually has a much smaller engine than you would think. It is only 2.9 liters, but it's twin turbocharged V6, and it produces 444 horsepower and 1 less pound-feet of torque, 443 pound-feet of torque. So definitely really good
Insanely
numbers.
powerful.
On this model, we have an 8-speed automatic. We don't have the 7-speed DCT like some of the other Audi products. And you do have your performance Quattro all-wheel drive system, of course, standard. As far as on this model, that defaults to a 60-40 torque split. But that can be totally flopped. You can have up to 70% in the front, up to 85% in the back, and then that ability to go 100% to one wheel or the other in the back as well. All that works together to get you a startlingly fast 3.8 seconds 0 to 60. That's 0.1 behind the coupe if you're keeping count of that. And your top speed is going to be 155 miles an hour unless you get that Dynamic Plus package, which is going to bump it to 174. Which I don't know why you need to bump it.
In case you want to go
if you're
200 on the interstate.
On the Autobahn, maybe, but here in America, probably not useful.
Yeah.
But anyways. And then the last thing I'll talk about is your fuel economy. It is 17 city, 26 highway, 20 combined. Again, that is 1 less than the coupe. Let's go ahead and take it for a drive. Nice. I get used to that. Pretty excited about this. Of course, this is not going to be like the most hard edge.
Yes, this is not.
We're in the city, there's traffic, it's not my car.
Yes.
It's been snowing, so we're going to take it easy, but we're going to still give you all a good sample of what something this crazy is like to drive. Of course, as you would expect, the steering is really weights up nicely. It is extremely fast. You can tell right off the bat how fast and how agile this car feels.
Wow.
I mean, just barely pressing the accelerator is really gonna push you back in your seat. You're gonna be able to tell.
Yes, with a sub 4 second 0 to 60.
Yes.
Obviously, getting up to speed is quick under almost any type of throttle application.
Right. And as I mentioned, this can keep up with the likes of the Audi R8. That's a supercar. You know, this is as fast as a lot of different supercars because you've got the Quattro all-wheel drive to really put that power down.
And I do want to mention the sound. It sounds excellent. I mean, we do have the exhaust baffles open, and it sounds, a lot of sound is really making it into the cabin, which is exactly what you want, and it sounds really good. You can definitely hear that turbo.
Absolutely. One thing I definitely want to commend it on, I noticed there's some bumps in the road and stuff. Wow, extremely comfortable. You wouldn't expect that it'd be able to absorb the bumps like it does.
I mean, this car does have good bones. I mean, the Audi A5 Sportback is definitely going to ride really smoothly, and it keeps those traits, except makes it just 100 times better.
Brakes are extremely strong. These are the base.
Yeah, these are the standard brakes.
Basic brakes.
You can also option on the carbon ceramic brakes. I think it's the Dynamic Plus package. I think it's $6,000 if you want the carbon ceramic ones.
Mm-hmm. Another thing here, you've got your figures here that give you the percent of the power and torque. So for instance, that accelerating there was only 20% of what it says that it can give you as the maximum. So that's just fun to look at. I mean,
the R8 had a very similar setup to that when we
right.
drove that back in the summer.
when you get into the throttle, even just a bit, throw you back in your seat.
Oh my gosh.
It definitely does. That's the only thing that I've been in that I can compare it to. That the feeling is that's how the R8 felt. It's breathtaking. It just throws you back. It's pretty crazy. It's intense for sure.
I could do that all day long.
Yeah. You definitely have to be careful for sure. Or else you'd definitely be getting yourself a speeding ticket.
It's right, green.
Especially
green
if you want to get
Audi,
it in this green. Yeah, I imagine if you bought this, you might get a speeding ticket.
Factor in about $100
yeah.
a month in speeding tickets.
I would go ahead and factor that into the calculation when choosing this car.
Honestly, it's so surprising though. Out of a 2.9 liter, I know it's twin turbocharged and everything, but it is insane that this car has the power that it does. It is just absolutely insane.
But then, you know, you get off the gas and you just cruise. It doesn't feel too much different from a regular Audi. It's really got that comfort nailed, I think. I'm gonna try out the manual shifting for a second. Definitely responds instantly, as you'd expect. I mean, that's not a problem in even the basic, you know, like A4 or whatever. The Audi really gives you that full manual control that I really appreciate having. You get that nice blip there. Sounds really good. A little snort too. Goes, love it.
I do want to quickly point out this car, if you want to attract attention, I think this car is going to be one of your best bets. There are very few cars that we've gotten as much attention as this car has gotten, especially in this green paint color. Every car that drives by is looking at you. Every person that sees you in the parking lot is looking at you. This car is so attention-getting, and it's a gorgeous car. So if you're looking for that, this is a good option for you.
But to conclude, I have nothing.
There is nothing bad about this car.
I don't. I mean, it's crazy. It really is. That you can have that much performance from something with so much practicality. I mean, you're just not giving up anything.
I mean, the RS5 Coupe, you can say, okay, it's super performance and all this stuff, but its con is that it's not super practical. But then this car just takes it. I mean, you have 4 seats, 4 people can fit super comfortably in the back.
There's a ton of trunk space. You have a hatchback.
And yet it's still absolutely gorgeous on the outside and drives like a freaking NASCAR. It's just insane. And there is nothing to complain about with this car's riding or driving or anything. For that matter.
So yes, if you're looking for something that honestly is like the best of all worlds, then do yourself a service and check this car out.
Well guys, we've enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2019 Audi RS5 Sportback. Stay watching for a quick look at the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies. Alright, so now as far as the pricing is concerned with the RS5 Sportback, all of this awesome luxury and performance does cost you a pretty good amount. So the starting MSRP is $74,200. Now this model, as equipped, we have the RS Driver's Assistance Package, which comes in at $3,700. And that is actually the only package that we have on this model.
Right, this is a base model,
this is a
so to
very
speak.
Base.
The coupe we did back in the summer was 90-something thousand.
It was 94,000.
That gives you
every
an idea of how much you can escalate with all the different option packages.
Yes. So as he said, there are a lot of different, the dynamic package and stuff like that. Those are all about $6,000. So you can definitely option this car up well into the 90 grand range. But this one it's a shy under 80. It has a $995 destination charge, so this one's total comes in at about $79,000.